I was talking to Jocko Willink a couple of weeks ago, and he's a very assertive and man, very much capable of physical aggression, built for it, and both physically and temperamentally. And he went through the Naval SEAL training, and that's a prime example of a patriarchal hierarchy, let's say.
Sure.
But what they were taught most fundamentally was that each of them had their buddy's back.
Right.
Like they were taught reciprocity.
Right. So
And
I
functional hierarchy.
part of my generation's issue with that characterization, and I've listened to a lot of your work on hierarchies, and I agree with a great deal of it, but part of it is when we see so many of the institutions that we grew up with, the Catholic Church, the government, we look at a lot of the wars that we've been in that we now find out were foolhardy, and the reasons we got into them were not initially the reasons we were told. When we look at, mega corporations and the things that they get away with, whether it's, these massive fraud, examples of fraud, when we look at the dishonesty that is inherently, seemingly baked into not only the system, but human beings, as you say, it's not necessarily capitalism, it's deeper than that. But when you say that hierarchies are more fatherhood or based on generosity or cooperation, my generation is looking at so many of the institutions that we have seen literally have been rotted out from dishonest, malevolent, bad actors and bad forces that seemingly are not really checked and seem to run amok and are not counterbalanced by that generosity or that encouragement that you talk about. So that seems to be, when I hear a lot of what you talk about, so much of it resonates with me, but some of it is hard to grasp because it is very positive and very hopeful view of hierarchies. But in light of all of the nefarious people and their ability to poison organizations, do you not ever look at some of those statements about hierarchies and say that, like, yes, hierarchies can get poisoned?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a couple of observations there. When hierarchies degenerate, it's because of power and deceit. And they do degenerate. And a degenerative hierarchy is full of lies and power games. But I'm not characterizing hierarchies as based on, let's say, productivity and reciprocity. I'm characterizing functional hierarchies as characterized by productivity and reciprocity. See, the essential claim on the radical left is that the hierarchical structure per se is tyrannical and predicated on power. And that's simply not true. Now, when the structures degenerate...
No, this is incorrect. This is not what we assume. There are some idiots who just go out there and they just say whatever comes to mind, or they've learned some slogans. But no, but anybody who actually has thought, saying about this, again, it is about challenging, really just looking out and being like, is this hierarchy actually rewarding those whom deserve to be there? Or is it just placing people there because of, grift or this degeneracy that he's referring to? And again, trying to be Weasley with it and saying that, like, oh, well, power disruption, blah, blah, blah. Hierarchy is inherently about certain people having more influence, getting more rewards than other people, but also taking on, saying more risk. It's inherently about, saying imbalances of power and responsibility. And that is not in and of itself what left-wingers and progressives are about, but who is allowed in there, why, and why is it that, when the people decide they want things to go a certain way, that it is okay for those, the powers that be to move in the opposite direction. Yeah.
That's how they degenerate. And it's definitely the case that we have to keep our eyes open for that occurrence, that we should be appalled by it, and that we should strive to do everything we possibly can to stop it. But my sense of that is that starts with you. If you want to stop deceit in the world, then stop lying.
Right.
If you want to stop the arbitrary exercise of power, then stop using it. Now, let me give you an example of this.
That's hilarious. This is like when Hillary Clinton was saying that what the fuck was she saying? This is basically like every goofball that will say to somebody like, oh, all you gotta do is just tell those drug dealers or tell those murderers or tell those rapists, hey, stop doing it. Stop doing it. I told you to stop. It was it Hillary Clinton that said that, like, oh, we went to, Vladimir, we went to somebody else and we said, hey, what are you doing? You're being real ornery right now. Stop doing that. Stop throwing your toys around the room. This is so goofy. This dude is a goofball. He's saying that, like, oh, this basically goes back to his whole, clean your own room thing. As in, if you don't want to see this stuff happening in the world, then you should get your own house or your own room in order. But again, motherfucker, what do you do then if the other powers that be, if you're in an organization or whatever, and you're trying to uphold the rule of law, and you're not lying, you're not being deceitful, but the other people are corralling themselves to do exactly that. All right, and possibly get you out of the organization because you're not willing to go with the grift. He doesn't have a proper way of detailing that. His whole thing is that, hey, if you don't want to stop this stuff, it starts with you and being a benevolent being, and that will inevitably just take care of itself somehow. It's nonsense. Diversity strategic plan. Oh, I already know what this is. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. A strategic plan implementation provided many DEI initiatives, yada, 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 progress report, annual DEI summit, and whatnot. So the thing is, this is not, I'm glad that you sent me this, and I will go over this. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. But diversity, equity, and inclusion, those are, as it says here, a strategic planning on how to better serve, in this case, the alumni of a major university. And you learn about the annual inclusion summit, information and guidance, campus progress report, tracking unit. Which one of these is specifically like annual progress? Okay. And it says here there's 2,500 action items and 50. Damn it, hold on. So you're saying that this, hope you enjoy your bread, hope your bread comes out well. So you said that this is an example of racism couched as affirmative action. Well, interesting. No, diversity, equity, and inclusion is, in its name, it is about making, different alumni more representative of the people who are actually trying to participate in these groups. It's not just going and grabbing people who are undeserving of these positions, but finding people who otherwise wouldn't be included in these opportunities and giving them a chance to be represented in them. And affirmative action isn't nearly as complex or detailed as this. Our unit-based strategic objectives and action items documented provides a summary report on more than 2,500 action items of the 50 plans developed by individual school, college, and campus units. So this can't even just be pinned as one particular group having oversized influence in a particular space. This has been an initiatives that have been taken on by a multitude of different groups in different places in the hierarchy and making a coordinated effort to bring these goals about. This is not racism. Racism is about exclusion. And you can't say that, in effort to make groups more diverse or making alumni more diverse, representative of the real population, and giving more people opportunities, that's not racism. That's spreading the wealth. That's literally spreading the resources. That's the complete opposite of racism. But like I said, I'm glad that you shared that with me.